So, who's the bear?
Who's the bear?
Welcome back, my friends, to the very final episode of the premiere season of Shoresy. It's been a great journey so far, and I can't wait to get into this episode.
Oh yeah.
And then talk about what's next. So yeah. So hey, Tiara,
Hey.
what's shaking?
Huh?
Huh?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Huh?
Oh my God.
Not a whole hell of a lot. It's been a week. I'm very happy to be here
Yes.
with you,
Yes.
with the dog snuggled on my foot, and a overcast sky for the quote unquote birthday of this wonderful country.
And for those who didn't know, on the 1st was Canada Day, as well as
Happy birthday.
even more important, Jared Kiso's birthday.
Happy birthday, Jared Kiso.
So he,
we all did it on social media. So hopefully you saw. And
I mean,
also
I think that was one of the biggest reactions I ever got to a tweet. I think there was like 300 some odd likes or
there
something.
were a lot of people that didn't know.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's the whole reason why he drops those jokes about Canada, about the national anthem and all of that. Like, he was born on a very patriotic day for his country.
Right.
And I've known people in the US who were born on the 4th of July. Oh God. I heard it as it was coming out of my mouth.
I was going to say, if Cruz played a character on Born on 4th of July, who would play Jared Kiso's character on Born on 1st of July?
Ooh. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was gonna say friends born on the 4th, like when they were growing up, like loved having that big, super patriotic, because they didn't know what it meant until they knew what it meant. And then it was like, oh fuck.
Holy.
Anyway.
Yeah. So, anyway, thanks everybody for joining us again. If you want to find us in places, like you can go to Twitter, YouTube's, Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr. We're all at How Are You Now Pod. You can email us at hosts@howareyounowpod.com or howareyounowpod@gmail.com. Again, we also have a phone number where you can leave us a voicemail with any questions you may have or comments, or Tiara's favorite thing, dad jokes. Our number is 30450 Ferda.
It cracks me up every time you do that.
That's going to be with us forever. So so if you were unaware, we're on the Podskier Podcast Network. Please go check out all of our shows on podskier.com. And just to mention real quick, on the 11th of July here, we will be doing our next table read, which will be a heck of a lot of fun. It will be the first time anyone has ever heard this episode of Letterkenny, as it has not actually ever appeared. It was written by our good friend David Mack, who we had on episode 1 of Shoresy here, and it's brilliant. It's fucking hilarious, and it deserves it. I think it actually deserves a real episode. Personally, I think it would
be really, really cool.
That would be awesome.
If, certain people who we suspect may listen might.
Maybe,
point this episode at somebody who might be interested.
Yes, very much. So, and also, last but not least, our show music is done by the awesome band Light the Lamp, greatest hockey punk band I've ever heard. I mean, granted, they are the only hockey punk band I've ever heard, but they are awesome. They're fun. They're great guys. Go check them out on all the places. They're on the Bandcamp and the Twitter and all the things. If you just go look up Light the Lamp, you'll find them. So anyway, we've got a guest. Did you know that?
Oh yeah.
We got a new guest. Well, it's not a new guest, but so why don't we go ahead and so hey, awesome.
How are you now?
Oh, good. And you?
That's bad.
Ooh, that was fun. We should do that.
That was perfectly well mixed. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So, what's going on with you, Awesome? What do you got shaking lately?
So I've been installing an above ground pool in my backyard, and between last Tuesday and yesterday, I've hauled, poured, and leveled out almost 4 tons of sand.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So a bitch is sore.
Sometimes bitches got to be sore.
Yeah, not a fun way.
You never know. Sometimes.
Good evening, Nathan.
Hi, Nathan. Hello. Good evening from the UK. Welcome again, Nathan. I like this one too. So, a phytophile. When it's a lazy, stony Sunday and you open YouTube at almost exactly 3 p.m. Eastern on Shoresy Pod Day, I'm going with the fate of this one.
Yep. Hey. A phytophile. You got it awesome. Right, man.
Yes.
I like that. Shoresy Pod Day. Like all Shoresy Pod Day. Shoresy Pod.
Hashtag Shoresy Pod Day.
We'll have to do that if there's a season 2 ever.
Yes.
Which we all hope. Hey, Woody.
Hi, Woody. Woody Way. Woody Way. Was too quick on the trigger with that one. So before we start getting into the episode and everything, I just kind of want to, in general, ask you, Awesome, you're prior to the show, the show being dropped, what your feeling about Shoresy was, and then how your feelings are now, just in general, now that you've watched and consumed all of it.
So prior to the premiere of the series, I was optimistic because, in Kizo we trust.
Right. Would you say cautiously?
No, I wouldn't qualify it like that, actually.
I believe that with you. Fully on board. Yeah.
So, I've made a point to hunt down a catalog and archive, old interviews and articles and, stuff like that. And there was one interview he did in 2015 for, I believe, his Canadian Heritage Minute video, where he says he wants to be the John Wayne of hockey films. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I can see that. You can take the fuck way out of hockey, but
minus the racism
and actually having native people playing native
right
people.
Yeah, what a fucking novel concept. But anyway, no, so I knew that this was a passion project, and a lot of people are like, oh, it's just a passion project, that means it'll not be any good. And I'm like, when it's a passion project, you actually care about the shit that you're doing. And y'all act like Letterkenny wasn't a passion project.
Yeah.
So how about get your head screwed on straight?
Yeah.
So no, I was fully optimistic and fully on board. I was like, yeah, no, Shoresy's a bit of a, blank slate, but that just means that he can literally build anything he fucking wants. Sky's the limit. There's there is so much potential to this.
True.
And when I saw people slagging it off as a cash grab or whatever, I'd be like, no, you know what?
Actually, cash, it would be so different.
If he was about the cash, he would definitely be playing Wolverine.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I pointedly posted a couple interviews and some of the behind the scenes clips from the Don Cherry films, and maybe just have a little faith in the man that he's writing something good, because y'all haven't been disappointed yet, have you?
Nope.
Letterkenny's a banger. 12 out of 10 would recommend to a friend.
Well, there's that Monster Warrior thing.
Hey, shut the fuck up. Yeah,
I couldn't get through the first episode. I'm sorry. I tried it twice. It's so 90s.
It's very corny, but
Ghost
adorable.
Rider.
It's
yeah, okay, but it's like that on purpose. It was filmed in like 2005 and released in 2006.
I know.
Like I not that's another thing is I'm trying to work up like a format and a script for those.
it's very campy in my opinion.
It's super camp.
And
I
the
love it.
CGI is
I love
brilliant.
camp. I guess I couldn't. Watching Kiso in camp was a little uncomfortable. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Well, so he was like 20, 21, something like that.
I am so glad that I never did anything on camera in my 20s.
Right?
Anyway, hi.
But yeah, no, so like, and then after the premiere of the show, I was like, see, yeah, I was justified. How about all of you shut your butts?
Justified.
Like you are minus the scary details of other people who have said this, but you are absolutely Kiso's #1 fan. And I should have had absolutely no. That's I didn't mention it. And there's more than that one. There was the real life one too. But yeah. So anyway, like I don't know why there would be any doubt that you would love anything that he did. So
well, and like again, like just based on what he's delivered in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had
the control, yeah,
I feel like I had a reasonable expectation of a good end product because he's been so hands-on with Letterkenny, because we've seen his style developing over, the last 7 years of this show. Like, I don't understand why people would be so automatically cynical and pessimistic, like just based on the evidence that we have.
I think it's just based on because Shoresy as a character had been kind of rather one-dimensional, I suppose.
Like I said, it's a blank slate. You could build anything you want on top of that foundation.
I think it's also the fact that so many Letterkenny fans, to be perfectly honest, so many American Letterkenny fans came to Letterkenny probably during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So they haven't been with it and watched the growth in a growth projection. They just like binged it all at once and now are like, well, Shoresy was never my favorite character. Like I have been with this thing almost since the very beginning. Shoresy is absolutely not my favorite character, and I was still willing to give this a chance, and I ended up loving it. So like,
I mean, I would think if anything, like that compressed timeline would make the chart even more obvious. Like if you're plotting out like on a line chart, the line only goes up, so I'm a data-driven person. I'm a librarian for a fucking reason. Like I have a GIF folder where I organize and sort and tag my GIFs. Okay, so
sure.
God, I wish I could do that. I just end up downloading multiple of the same ones because I'm like, I can't remember where to find the one that I did.
No, my brain is like file folder architecture. That is what my brain looks like.
Well, I do that.
I don't remember but I remember where they are.
They end up like I do that. I will download for a month and just do a regular folder, and then I'll have to go through and organize them after about a month.
My brain is a hoarder's dream. Like, there are newspapers stacked up like from when I was in high school, and on the newspaper, I have that in there somewhere. Like it's just everywhere. There's shit everywhere from 40 something years of ADHD and autism.
Well, okay, so you're on my private server, and you've seen the channel that I have for like interviews and articles and shit. I made my own fucking citation format.
I love you.
You're so adorkable. Yeah, I know some guys like Shoresy, so it was more of a nostalgic thing with me that made me like him from the start off, or from the off. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed a good bit of Shoresy there, but I could understand. I'll put it this way: I could understand trepidation. Even though I was, the more I thought about it, from the first time it was announced, I'm like, well. Yeah, like you, he hasn't disappointed us yet, so I really have no reason, but I can understand especially for newer people. So
I could understand it if it was almost literally anybody else. Like the only other people that I would not second guess are like Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, and Mark Hamill.
Okay. I mean,
like that's a fucking short list to be like if you're in good company there.
I would say for me, I mean, Garth Ennis.
You haven't
had his ups and downs.
You haven't liked everything he's done.
I really like Garth Ennis.
You like most of what he's done, yes.
Yeah, no, and Garth has definitely grown as a writer as well. I mean, like OG Preacher to the series is a vast difference. And like he even said in a couple interviews that, if I was writing it now, I would not do, like The Thing with Cassidy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of things.
But I mean, I think everybody, when they write things they put it out there, I mean, there's lots of, I'm sure, I don't know if Stephen King has any regrets about it.
Oh my God. Stephen King has so many regrets about things that he's got so many things that he's like, I would not have done that. But also like half of the books he wrote in the 70s and 80s, he was high or drunk.
I'm on cocaine
and doesn't remember like what was going on in that time period.
All right.
Oh, did I say that?
Right.
Did I really write a child orgy?
Yeah. What do you mean? Oh, right.
Yeah. So Seattle. Shoresy. Let's get back to Shoresy, shall we?
All right.
Last week, hockey brings people together with our new friend Amy, who was great to have on. She was a lot of fun.
Definitely. That was the one that was not using your name in vain. Awesome. But really wanted to follow you.
No, I appreciate that. Thanks for the follow.
Warren Ellis. So Phytophiles, if you like Garth Ennis, what about Warren Ellis? Warren Ellis, I think, has some good stuff. I think I'm more in tune to the very dark Irish humor that Garth has.
I will say Warren Ellis was eerily fucking prescient with Transmetropolitan.
What? I bought that and I hadn't got a chance. TR read it and didn't really care for it much.
I read that shit in high school.
I didn't hate it or anything. Just
Grant Morrison. Yeah.
So yeah.
So we also have Red. Warren Ellis is the one who wrote Red.
Yeah.
Which I know.
So
and we watched the movies too. So
yeah. I mean, I'm just saying Warren is a bit more hit or miss than Garth is for me.
Yeah.
So I mean, because I love The Boys, and when I heard that was coming out, I'm like, oh my God, yes.
And somehow he talked my mother into watching it.
No, I was trying to talk her out of it.
Yeah, but instead she got more interested the more you told her how terrible it was or how gross it was.
Like that one scene in fucking the Century Club episode. The boys are trying to talk Katie and Mary Fred out of like unleashing the McMurray.
Right. Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about Shoresy. We're almost 20 minutes in and we haven't really talked enough about
like we're friends.
Yeah, a little bit. So hockey brings people together. It was great. Especially with it's bringing this arc to its precipice and then coming to this final episode. I mean, what do you think about your just kind of overall thoughts of hockey brings people together?
I think as a sort of in the lead up to the climax of the series, that being this episode, it works wonderfully well. It does a lot of setting up and it does actually pay off for Michaels in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Like when he brings in the Polichetti brothers and then they're during that limo ride where they're being escorted by Phil and his goons.
Yeah.
The whole team is looking at Michaels and he's like, hockey brings people together. And he gets that attaboy that he's been so thirsting for. He has been thirsting for that acceptance. He did redeem himself in the eyes of the team.
Yeah, and that specific scene, I love that you brought that up because I feel like that sets the scene for Michaels for this whole episode. Like, I'm not gonna, without getting into anything, saying, he's embodying what Nat is saying about if something's going wrong, it's about the I. Like he's like, it's my fault, and everybody else is like, no, this is what's happening. And if that had been like 2 episodes ago, he would not have gotten any solace from anybody, probably. So like, it shows that like that was the moment where the team was like, he is part of this team.
Yeah.
So yeah, he really put himself out there and made the sacrifice and made the play, and because he was willing to do that, because he was willing to put himself out, that is what really cemented his acceptance in the team, because he did it for the boys,
Yeah, and that's
kind of
like
the whole fucking point of being on a team.
Well, and and it also goes to not just the bringing the fans together; it goes to bringing the hockey, the team together. So hockey brings people together. That's what he was doing. I mean, he was.
Yeah, I mean that absolutely is the point, and that's why I think that episode got that title. Is when you're on a team, it only works if everyone's working together.
Okay, I don't know.
I broke from the Moomins.
Well, I don't know who broke from the Moomins is. But so Nathan says that harrowing car ride with Michael's between the Paulicetti brothers, them looking both like Groke from the Moomins. I don't know who that is, but
oh my god,
that's I'm sure.
Look under the thing.
Yeah, no, please look this up.
Yeah,
I'm crying from how fucking funny that is. Oh my god.
He looks so proud and awkward at the same time. Very.
It won't focus. Sorry.
No, it was good enough.
Yes.
So he's kind of like Grimace from.
Yeah.
Oh, except he's afraid of getting bummed.
Okay.
Afraid of getting what?
Bummed.
Spell that for me.
BUMMED.
Okay.
Getting it in the bum.
Okay.
All
like,
right.
That first time bottoming face? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so let's get into Don't Poke the Bear, and then we can do a lot more chatting after that. How about that?
Sorry, I broke Tiara. Tiara.
Okay.
Gene's turn.
All right, so let's get into Don't Poke the Bear. I'll do this real quick because should be super easy, barely an inconvenience. So we start off in the open with in the final episode. We get back the same series that we started with. Anik, Tessa, RA, and Jay Unquestionable called. They recap the Bulldogs' plan and how they've done. They talk about their final game against the Sioux and that the Sioux are bringing their A game this time, and that they think that the Bulldogs have poked the bear. So from there we cut to Sanguinette sitting in a hot tub, and then Mercedes coming in and climbing on top of him. She asked if he remembers the first time she saw him. Quick cut to an underwater scene of what happened at the party island in Wasaga Beach, followed by the aqua dump floating by. From there, we after the title, we cut to the ice where Shoresy is reffing the juniors again. Chirping continues that has been done between him, Corey, and Liam. This time it's a little bit lighter than usual, which kind of makes sense since we let her cut to Sanguinette and Shoresy sitting in the stands where Sanger's telling Shoresy that he didn't cheer one guy on the team in this last game and they got the big win. And Sanger says that positivity is a superior motivator. Next, we cut to the GM's office where Nat, Meeg, and Ziegler in their usual places, and Laura Moore is in front of them conducting an interview.
He has a mouth on him.
No argument there.
Is he still pushing up on you?
The consistency's kind of charming.
He could step on a landmine and talk himself out of it.
I know you have a soft spot for him.
I do.
I love that photo.
It's not just him. It's hockey players.
Why?
Take losing so personally. They don't just accept blame for a loss. They claim it. They take that burden off of their teammates. I fucked up. I cost us the game. I need to be better. But when they win, it's never personal. They never take credit. They never say I. They share it. In other sports, it's me, but in hockey, it's we. It's a team.
You trying to write the piece for me?
They can be irritating at times and over the top, but they're
dumb,
ugly. They're sluts. But there's a humbleness there and a responsibility. I respect it.
If it's a loss tonight, will you take responsibility?
If we lose, we fold.
Even if it's a packed barn?
We do what we say we're going to do. You already printed it, didn't you?
Not a problem.
Yeah. And so from there, we cut to Shoresy walking into his apartment. Hitch and Dolo are sitting on the couch. He hears the sounds of sex coming from the bedroom and just decides to pop his head in under the auspice of going on a Krispy Kreme run. The girl inside the bedroom squeals. JJ yells at Shoresy, "Thematic, Shoresy!" Shoresy can't tell who she is, but that she's pretty, and it's definitely not Laurence. As a conversation is taking place, there's a knock on the door.
JJ? Get back! JJ! Get back!
Big sexy.
Shoresy? Don't know who that fuck. Goldie?
Where's Goldie? Is it Key Goldie?
And the last one, whatever your fucking name is.
Well, she don't even know me name.
12-inch cunt.
You go.
Just open the door.
12-inch cut is great.
I think that was a genuine laugh. Like, that was,
oh man!
And they just had to keep it because it was so perfect.
Yeah. So anyway, Shoresy opens the door and Laurence walks in. She knows that JJ is there with Lysandre, and she knows this because Lysandre has stupidly parked her Range Rover out front. So dumb.
That is Riley and Jonesy moves. That is
right?
Riley and Jonesy moves.
At that point, Lysandre sheepishly steps out of the room, putting her clothes on clumsily. She tells Laurence how she's a huge fan of her and JJ.
Really?
Right?
Laurence
and
tells
why
Shoresy,
wasn't Laurence involved? Why wasn't it
right?
Like,
so yeah,
seriously.
Laurence tells Shoresy that JJ can come pick up his Siamese cat. JJ chases after Laurence. Shoresy accuses JJ of cultural appropriation for having a Siamese
appropriation.
cat. Which was
That was the best fucking, oh my God.
Now we cut to walking into the barn tunnel. Shoresy pants his Michaels. Sanger comes out and tells Shoresy to collect the gems and come into the workout room. Shoresy and Sanger let the gems know that this is in the workout room, that they appreciate everything they've done so far, but they'll be benched for most part because the Sioux are dressing their studs. Shoresy looks over at Goody, Dolo, and Hitch, who are riding their bikes, and they have a quick conversation about how good the bikes are. And just then Meeg and Zeke walk in, ask where JJ is. Sanger says that he's running late. The girls beckon Sanger and Shoresy to the GM's office. In the GM's office, Nat expresses how happy she is for the turnaround that she's got caused by Shoresy. Something to mark the occasion for Shoresy, a new sweater. Zeke pulls out the sweater and shows Shoresy the back. He's immediately concerned with having yet another sponsor to be involved with. Zig unfolds the sweater, turns it around, and it's got the C on it. Shoresy grabs Sanger by the arm and begins sobbing. Yeah. Nat reiterates that they will still fold if they lose.
Oh. All of their faces in that scene.
Yeah.
Every single one
like
of them.
speechless. He can only just shake his head.
Oh yes. Oh, I forgot about big sexual.
Big sexual. Right, I wrote that down. Big sexual.
The big sexy is definitely the MVP
Hell
of
yeah.
the scene.
No, I think Laurence is the MVP.
Laurence. I mean, and just skipping back to that scene.
I mean, she was honestly a lot nicer.
Well, and also her hair, you could see that she's been sleepless, and her hair is just kind of flat. And
when she's been like positively gorgeous.
yes.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, she's fucking mad, and she's got a right to be fucking mad.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna see later about what happens. Anyway, walking back to the locker rooms from the GM's office, Shoresy asks Sanger where JJ is. Sanger dodges the question but tells Shoresy that Fish is definitely ready, and so they go talk to him, let him know that he's been doing all the right things, and saying that it's almost as if he loves winning. But Fish replies, "No, I hate losing." So. The Shoresy and Sanger give a very knowing look to each other. We cut to the locker room. The boys are getting pumped to go. Starting lineup is Fish, Goody, Dolo, Hitch, Shoresy, introduced as the team captain, and Michaels. Then we cut to a musical montage where of the stands, Nat in her office, and then the boys out on the ice, everyone getting their game faces on. And we cut to the game. in progress with Remy and Benny calling the game. Remenado. The Sioux are firing on all cylinders. They end up with the period one at 3-0 with the Sioux over the Bulldogs. Shoresy breaks a stick on the net, as he's wont to do. From there, we cut to during the intermission in the locker room. Michael's apologizing to the team. Shoresy says no, that it's not his fault, but the rest of the boys need to start shooting the fucking puck. We cut to series two. The period two has begun. The Sioux score even more points, much to the disappointment and displeasure of everyone. Sanguinet wants to put the Gems out there, but Shoresy doesn't want them to go out there just to be thrown in the box. They need goals. Second intermission has begun back in the locker room. Shoresy is puking in the toilet where he asked where JJ is. Sanger tells him that he went back to Quebec and that he won't be there. The Studs and Sanger all get together in the stall with Shoresy and they hatch a plan. Shoresy comes out. Shoresy comes out and lets the team know they're not going to beat the Sioux. Sanger shows them the plan.
We can't just lose. This last game in this barn, got to win something. It's the Bulldogs' last game in this barn. We got to give them a show. So, boys, let's give them the fucking lumber.
We're winning that physical battle, boys. If you can't run them up,
boys, let's just give them the fucking lumber out there. One period to make their lives hell.
Jims, they're not going to want to go. Not worth the risk. They've got playoffs up the road. So your job is to score us a goal. The rest of the boys are going to make room for you guys out there for a change, because you guys are scoring us the last goal in Sudbury Bulldogs history.
Well, what do you think, Jim?
Yeah.
Jim?
Yes.
Jim?
Sounds good, Shoresy. Should be fun.
Thanks, Jims.
Boy, I fucking love winning. Fucking hate losing more. Got a dip? Hurry up, fish. Last game in this barn. Let's give them a show, boys. Let's give them the fucking lumber.
Damn right.
I love how he has like the tear on the very tip of his nose there, because he's already crying. Already crying.
Already, yeah. So then period three starts as a musical montage. The boys are getting physical with the Sioux, and they can't stand it. We see the folks in the crowd really getting into it. There's a shared moment between Sanger and Meeg, which Zieg is completely disgusted with.
Her face. Oh my God.
At some point in the period, all the Studs get sent to the box where they're celebrating with each other, and the crowd just cheers them on.
There are studs in the box.
Studs in the box. Oh, yep. So anyway, the next face-off begins with the Gems and Fish swinging the lumber at the Sioux. We see Nat in her office looking at the picture Laura was talking about earlier. Nat, her mom, and Shoresy, all of them with their teeth out. She
Shoresy's holding up a Sharpie, and he's like blacked out with the Sharpie, one of Nat's mom's teeth and one of Nat's teeth.
Okay.
So cute.
Oh, is that what? Okay, I didn't see.
Yeah, that's why he's holding up the Sharpie.
Oh, I completely missed the Sharpie. Good find.
Good
observation.
You're gonna find all of that for us.
Anyway, so we see and then Nat makes her way to the stadium just as one of the Gems scores a goal to finally give them a point. Everyone in the stands are just cheering like mad. And then just a bit later, one more scored goal in the final seconds. Both scored by Gym number one, Mirasti. The final score: Sioux 5, Bulldogs 2. Then we cut to the team taking a knee at center ice, showing their appreciation to the fans. Nat walks out and waves to the fans while patting Shoresy on the shoulder. We finally, and then all of them stand up, holding their sticks up to the crowd. Finally, we went into the locker room with all the boys having their game sticks and talking to their folks. However, one spot is empty on the bench there, and it's Shoresy. Shoresy is sitting in silence in the workout room. Nat is sitting opposite him.
Fuck you, Shoresy.
For what?
What do you mean for what?
Huh?
You know the deal. We had a deal. And I do what I say I'm gonna do. Always have. All right, fuck, what do you want me to... Those guys are so fucking good. They thumped us. And you still think we can beat them? How?
Where the fuck is Frankie?
Quebec, he's not coming. Shoresy, we've got a new plan for this period.
We all plays like you out there, my son.
What?
A full team of Shoresy's.
Real dirty.
Let's get all the goddamn boys running around. Leave a motherfucking impression.
It's a bit late for making a fucking impression, boys. There's no fucking room out there anyway.
Hit them enough and they'll stop going where you gets hit. Chop them enough, they'll stop going where you gets chopped. Bet that gives us a lot more room out there next game.
What are you talking about next game? Don't be a fucking idiot.
They've got a hot tender. Let's let the league know. If your tender's hot, we'll run him through the back of the fucking net.
What are you fucking... It's too fucking late.
For this game. Let's get him in playoffs.
If we lose, we fold. That was the deal.
That's when you had one fucking guy on this team who said we'd never lose again. Now you got 16 of them over there in that dressing room. You got a barn full of fans who can't wait to see it.
You think we can beat them? Those guys are so fucking good.
It won't be the same team after that period. No fucking way. It wanted nothing to do with the gyms. We'd have Frankie back next game.
This was so fucking good.
But they do not like the lumber. You know what you get in the playoffs?
The lumber.
You get that high heat.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, fuck yeah.
Well, what are you going to do differently?
Me?
Oh my God.
Huh?
You say the boys are going to play like you, but the chirping and the lumber and the running around have always been your game. So if I keep this team going, how are you going to raise your game? What are you going to do differently?
Shoresy then looks over at the weight bench, raises his eyebrows, looks over at Nat, and she smiles. We finish out the episode on the snowy Sudbury streets. The boys are jogging, and a huge crowd from the town joins to follow them. End credits.
Okay, first thing.
Thank you for holding your breath.
I want to point out, we don't actually end on them jogging. We end on a street light that turns from red
to green. Yeah.
To green.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good point.
Is that
right?
True Love was a perfect song for that game. You are correct, Dawn.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very much so.
But yeah, is that green light that we get at the end there, right before we smash to credits, is that like something?
God, we hope so.
Yeah. Is that indicative of the future?
I think they're saying, hey, if we get picked up, we're ready to go.
See, I think the delay, I think if they've been picked up, I think the delay is deciding how many more episodes are going to green light right off the bat.
Right. They've already announced the Letterkenny thing. I'm sure that was all wrapped up together because the schedules would have to coincide with
coordinate at least.
Coordinate. That's the word. Yeah. With each other.
If they do a winter shoot, because we've had, because series 10, 11 for Letterkenny were shot back to back during the summer, and we haven't really had two summer series back to back like that since series 1 and 2. So if they're going to do a winter series for 12 and they're going to try and fit in Shoresy, they're going to have to film Shoresy first and then Letterkenny, because Kizo has to grow out his hair and beard for Shoresy, and then they can carve him down for Letterkenny, but you can't really do it the other way around.
Right. True. Well, and it makes sense because
unless Wayne's decided to grow a mullet.
Right.
Give me that shit. No, listen, I have been jonesing for 10 series for Beardy Wayne. Give me it.
Like, if they were going to do Beardy Wayne, it would have been when he was depressed. When he was
in the sledge shack. That was the perfect opportunity, and I feel like they kind of dropped the ball there.
A little bit. But yeah, what I was going to say about continuity's sake, if the next season of Shoresy is picking up with the playoffs, then it would the continuity wise, it would have to be winter because it's snowy in winter in Sudbury during Like when the fans are running with them at the end of that scene.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Right? Because the playoffs are only going to be at most 2-3 weeks after the end of the regular series.
Right.
So
it wouldn't be like they wouldn't be filming Shoresy right now. At all. That wouldn't make sense.
No.
Unless they were already filming the 3rd season.
I think they're writing it for sure.
Yes.
I mean,
I believe that.
I'm kind of curious though, things did kind of start off in a more fall time period. Because there was no snow on the ground, I think initially. There was a little bit.
There was a little bit, yeah. It's full on winter by the end of it.
Yeah.
Like showing them running through.
So it's just making me think that let's jump to 3. They could feasibly start in fall.
Well, so like in the first episode, when they're fighting out, when they walk up to Nat out the back of the Coulson, and the Jims are there scrapping with them dudes. There's snow on the ground,
Patches,
there's a couple of fight scenes, where it's like there's snow and there's not snow.
In the next episode, when they pick up the Jims at the airport, there is like snow banks in the goddamn car park.
The slats and
the studs.
And then they go right to Nat's house, and it's actively snowing while they're grilling out on the fucking patio. So it's very clearly late fall, early winter.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, but I'd like to see. When does granted, I don't know
hockey seasons.
I don't know hockey seasons as far as like when
usually playoffs are in like March or April, and that's to be honest, that's when a lot of ski parks actually get their heaviest load.
Okay. And it says, did anyone else feel that Sanguinette was looking uncomfortable in that scene in the hot tub?
Yes, actually, I wrote that. I wrote down, do we think that he actually slept with her? Because it didn't seem to me like he was like, okay, I'm here.
I think, honestly, I think he's into the attention. I just think that he wants the attention to be from Meg.
Agreed.
Yeah, and that's the thing I'm seeing for the next series is that is there going to be some kind of weird love triangle that has to happen because the Polichetti brothers are now involved with the team in a way, and is he going to have to keep things going with Mercedes?
Well, Sanger fulfilled his end of the bargain. I can see it being a very transactional kind of encounter, and even though his genuine interest lies with Migwan, I don't think he actually minds getting attention from Mercedes, because it's not like he's getting a hell of a lot of attention otherwise.
Yeah. It's just going to be weird. If he, I'm just kind of curious if he knows that he sees Mercedes.
Yeah. Mercedes is way more into him than he's into her.
Yeah. But is he gonna, is that when she says, I want Sanguinette, there may be a different meaning to that for her than it is to him. So
yeah, I can definitely see that being a point of contention in series 2.
Yeah. So that's kind of one of those things that really made me think, how are they going to deal with it? It may not, they may just kind of ignore it as, it was just the one time.
They could gloss it. And that would be within the realm of possibility because, to be honest, Mercedes strikes me as a very practical person, and she knew what she was asking for, and she got it.
Yeah,
there were terms on that deal. So
she was like, "I know you don't like me, and you don't even know me, and the only time we ever met was when I grabbed your dick underneath the water,
and then later gave you a footy."
Right, right. I forgot about that. But also, later when Sanguinette is addressing Michaels and apologizes to him, I feel like that was directly involved too. He sat there and he was like, okay, I'm uncomfortable now. And then Michaels was like, no, it's okay. But that might not be what Sanguinette wanted.
And granted, we've heard of the other stories from Shoresy and other folks that she's been with lots more guys on the team.
Yeah. So. She's a puck bunny.
Well, and I think Sanger really wanted to clear the air with Michaels before the final game, just so that everything's out, Lance the wound kind of a thing. And then when Michael says she was yours all along, like I don't think that's necessarily indicative of any kind of long-term relationship setup. I think he's just acknowledging that Mercedes was never into him.
Yeah, and also Michael's is comparatively to all the other sluts, he's monogamous. He's not a slut. He's not sleeping around with all of these people. He had a girlfriend, and in his mind, all of that was cheating. And in her mind, she was like, "This is who I am."
Well, okay, so
she didn't want him. Also,
I one of the things I want to see in series 2 is like, so when she was dating Michaels, it sounds like he was coach at that time and he wasn't a player, so therefore he wasn't a slut. Now he's a player again. Now he's a slut. What is slut Michaels going to be like?
Yeah, I that could end up back. Just thinking about it, that building up that confidence. Maybe he gets back with Mercedes somehow, and that could be trouble as well.
I gotta say though, I genuinely gotta say, I get such bottom vibes.
big time. When he squatted down in his underwear and like looked back, I was like, that's a brat pose right there.
The thing is, right, is like, I don't think he's necessarily a brat. I don't think he has the balls to be a brat. I think he's just a full sub bottom, and he is just waiting for someone to come in, yank his hair, and take charge.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Like, that is the vibe I get off Michaels. Like, I figure, like, if he tried to top once and he pulled his zipper down too fast and scared himself and had to say, "Yellow light."
Are you saying Michaels is in the kink scene somewhere? He's actually...
I'm saying he tries, but he's really just way too skittish. He's too much of a pussy. Like, I don't think there's another word to encapsulate Michaels other than he's kind of a pussy.
A little bit. I can see that. Yeah.
Tiara's crying.
I think.
I mean, I honestly, I feel like if Michaels was a bottom, he would actually be perfect in the kink scene. He would be
right. He would be.
He would be the one walking in a Speedo with the collar and chain and being walked along. And yeah. No,
right,
not necessarily a Gimp mask, but like
the chest
definitely
harness,
showing off. Yeah, showing off the body and being proud, but also being owned by somebody.
Yeah,
like
right,
he wouldn't be the kind that would want to sleep around. He would want to be owned by somebody.
The thing is, right? It's like if you look at Michaels in his fucking skivvies, right? He's got like Brad Pitt Fight Club era definition on his abs.
He's
he
shredded.
puts the work in. He puts the work in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's not for himself. It's because it's for, attracting a mate purposes.
Is this a new fan fiction that you're about to write?
He's a bit on the pink and fluffy side of the force.
He definitely is. Nathan,
actually,
you
I
are
kind
not
of am
wrong.
too, though. I kind of am, but like not. What is that?
That's called verse. No.
Switch? What?
No, I'm never thought of myself as switchy, but lately maybe. Okay. Anyway, let's next one.
This is your episode of Letter Kinky.
Anyway, so speaking of Michaels, I love that Shoresy pantses him in the tunnel. Like, it's one of those things that he'd been doing to Fish, and now he doesn't do it to Fish. He did it to Michaels. And
no, it's another signal that Michaels now belongs to
exactly. That's exactly where I was going with that. Like, you're the low man on the totem pole, but I respect you enough to pants you in our group. Like, I'm paying attention to you. Here you are. I acknowledge your existence.
And I think that ties into like Shoresy's thing about like the constant chirping and endless giving of shit in his family, right? You're in his in-group now. So he's gonna like fuck with you.
But also he's growing too. Like saying was right. He didn't make fun of his own teammates. He hasn't for a while. Other than some really light, Yeah.
No, like on the flip side of the pantsing, when Michaels apologizes, sorry guys, Shoresy's immediate response is like, no, we're letting them fucking pepper you. That's on us.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, there's a lot of redemption for Michaels in Shoresy's eyes in this game. Like Shoresy's like, nah, man, I have respect for you now, dude. You just took they're just hitting you over and over again, and we're not doing anything, and we're not even scoring fucking goals to make up for it.
I get that. He specifically points out you are getting more shots than some guy in 2 periods than some guys get in games, whole entire games.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like there is. I love that, like, on the one hand, yes, you're my person, I'm gonna fuck with you, but on the other hand, you're my person, I'm gonna fuck heavy with you, you know? Like, so you got the dual meaning of that phrase exemplified in, like, Shoresy's entire philosophy. I love it.
True. Yeah, and I mean, watching Fish in this episode, especially during the game, seeing him actually putting himself out there, he's doing the Bobby Clark as well, and
you can see like Shoresy's respect for him. Yeah.
And when he slides into that one stick to block the shot, and he takes it right in the gut and folds up, like he knew what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
He deliberately put himself in front of that shot to block it because that was his fucking job.
Yeah. Agreed, Nathan. That Fish became a bro.
Seriously. Like the minute that Fish said that he hates losing, I think Shoresy was like, oh yeah. Okay.
One
boy.
of us.
All right.
Shoresy got a little chub off that. He
did. He was like, oh, okay, now I see why you're pretty. Okay. Like I get that as a demi person. I totally understand when like somebody says that one thing and suddenly you're like, oh, I do actually find you a little interesting and attractive.
Goes on, right? It's like
yeah.
You're seeing it from like a slightly different perspective, and then now all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, like those magic eye photos. Those magic eye photos, you just have to tilt your head just the right way, and then all of a sudden the shit pops out, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah.
My autistic brain can never see any of that.
Here's something funny that I've noticed in this since we've started this segment of the show is aside from Shoresy and Michaels, we haven't talked about any of the other sluts, which is kind of funny. I mean, and I know we'll be getting to them, but I mean, I will say, I mean, as we both noticed in our rewatch, you know, that this is the first time that Dolo has said a full, complete English sentence.
Yeah.
And,
I wonder if a bit of that was like translation convention in that final scene with them.
I feel like it was just like there was a point made. It was a what do you call it? The thing where they drop a clue at the beginning and you don't get a resolution till the end.
The Chekhov's gun.
The Chekhov's gun. I think it was kind of a Chekhov's gun where they basically said in the beginning he'll only speak French to you, and then at the end when it really mattered, he spoke a line in English to Shoresy. It was very important to say it in English because everything else is, you know, he's like, okay, this is what I say every day all the time. I am going to say something that I know that everyone can understand right now, and then I'll go back to French.
Yeah, and he's definitely I mean, Shoresy has definitely made himself a captain. It's like Nathan says here, it's amazing being a captain, getting your boys to understand something like that. It's a beautiful thing. So it's not only that, I mean, you can tell he's brought that team together. He's elevated Sanger, where Sanger has got it's his team, and like that. So like he's at some point in there, which it doesn't really show when, Sanger and the other sluts got together to make a decision on what the plan was. Without Shoresy.
My theory on that is when Sanger was like, I want to put the gyms in, and Shoresy was like, what, so they can da-da-da. I feel like Sanger like probably went over to them at that point and was like, hey, he's not going to do this just by me saying it. Let's talk about this for a second. Okay. And then that's why he looked at them and they were like, okay, let's do it. Like, I feel like it was a very quick after that moment. Like, but that
when Shoresy had like a solid 90 seconds on the ice, he talked to the other sluts and like, it's like, I need you guys to help me with this.
Yeah. So, and Phytophile says, didn't you guys call the idea that Dolo would drop an English line?
I think so.
I don't remember that. I mean, I forget a lot of things.
I don't. And we don't. he technically listens to the podcast to edit it after, but I don't ever listen to what I say afterwards. People will like send me things and they'll say, hey, on this episode when you said this thing, and I'm like, I need more context. I have no idea what I was fucking talking about.
Right? Like, how many of our conversations have been like, you said
shit.
blah, 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 blah.
No, I did. Maybe I did. Did I?
Yeah.
I mean, this out of all, I mean, this is our going to be our 91st episode of How Are You Now total. I mean, of the of the universe. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we've said over the years,
especially since when we started, half of the show was just, I don't know what this word meant, so I had to go in Urban Dictionary. I didn't know what this meant. So, and like, I didn't know anything about hockey really, other than the fights were fun.
Yeah.
Nathan says, I think
nothing like a Tilly.
The key part that brings the guys together, the team fighting together. And
the crowd too. The crowd didn't get excited until Shoresy started fighting back.
Which, that's kind of also as we finally got around to watching Slapshot. There's
that's a movie.
That
is one of the very movies of all time.
That is a movie, right?
But I mean, you could, well, I'll get to that in a second. But you could tell there was a huge amount of inspiration for Shoresy from Slapshot, and that's kind of where they were getting that from. They were, but they were, well, it's like So they had sports hockey guys sitting down to write a movie about sportsy hockey and that good time sporty movie feeling, but then somebody said, well, we're only going to get guys if we need to have a date night, so we got to throw some love story. So the sporty hockey guys who know nothing about that kind of shit decided they were going to write their version of what they thought a love story was going to be.
Oh my god.
And it just ends up being a love story between the teammates, and like the women are kind of extraneous.
Well, not only are the women extraneous, the main woman's storyline is she leaves her husband because he's neglecting her and seeing other women and being an asshole, and then her friend gives her a makeover and suddenly he wants her again and she goes back to him, and it's like, what?
Yeah, right. Like,
literally halfway through, like,
actually spoken to a woman without telling me you've never actually spoken to a woman.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's obvious that Kiso understands how relationships go and has a good idea of how to rate them. And that definitely is not in that movie.
Like, fundamentally understands that women are people who are
what? I know.
Well,
how dare.
Things have changed a little bit from the 70s.
A little bit.
And then Fight File said, nope, that's Nathan. Hang on, let me go back to Fight File. Team really came together in this last couple of episodes in a bunch of kind of organically systematic ways.
Yes, absolutely.
As far as Slapshot, Nathan says the language is racy and very not PC, but is a good hockey movie. The sequels are absolutely terrible, especially the third. Yes, there were.
Oh my god!
And I think it just they were all around the Hanson brothers, if I remember correctly.
I mean, now they were interesting, but you totally called them as like Junior Ramones, and I couldn't get out of my head for the rest of the time watching it.
They look like the Ramones.
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on. I think this is a good point. Can you bring back Phytophile's comment there?
Sure.
Okay, so I have an overarching thesis for the entire series.
You can do that on our wrap-up show.
I figure it's apropos for this episode because it's the final episode of this particular series. So, like,
okay,
and I'll touch on it again in the wrap-up. But so my thesis for series 1 of Shoresy is that, and I wrote a little bit about this on Reddit, but Shoresy literally only has found family. And in episode 4, we see that, he's a foster kid, and, his dad sure makes the point that you guys were never referred to as siblings on the farm, but that only serves to highlight the fact that as adults, they refer to each other as siblings and think of each other as siblings, and Shoresy at some point took his dad's name, and I don't that could be because his dad formally adopted him, but they don't ever address that. But it could just be he chose to do that in adulthood to more like visibly align himself with his family that he picked. And he spends every episode of this series trying to turn his team into his family. That's why he treats them like he treats his family. It's aspirational behavior. Yeah. He's trying to turn this team into a family. And he's putting his all in, and he's not really getting a lot back until this last episode kind of pays for all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it kind of goes back to that conversation when Sanger's first time as coach and talking about going to the wall for him, and yet still calling him a fucking
useless cunt.
A useless fucking cunt on the way there. So that's family to him. I mean, yeah, we're gonna chirp each other. It's tough love, I guess in a way, but it's I think there's shit that Tiara and I do back and forth. I'm an asshole or whatever.
The king of the assholes. And the...
but it's
Damn it, man is my favorite. Damn it, man. That's his superhero name.
Nothing is done out of malice or spite or anything. No. It's just being silly and goofy. And that's really what it is.
And again, it's like the dual meaning of fucks with, right? Like, you're my family, so I'm gonna fuck with you, but you're my family, so I'm gonna fuck with you heavy. You know?
And you can see that a lot with Meeg and Zieg as well. I mean, that smile that Meeg's given down to Sanger, and then Zieg looks over and just like she's just.
She looks like she smelled something bad.
So I wanted to say this on the air just in case there's anybody of my friends who still listen to this. If you aren't actually watching the show and you just listen to this, which I know there were a few back in the How Are You Now early days, but I don't know if you still do that. Zieg in this scene is Grace 100%. Anyone who's ever met my sister in real life can absolutely say they have seen that face on her, usually having to do something with probably my dating preferences or something like that, but looked so much like Grace. Like, there were the first couple times watching it, I was like, oh my God. Like, Dean, you saw it too. So
oh yeah, very much. I see, between those three, Nat, Meeg, and Zieg, I can see that they took Grace and just kind of separated her in three parts.
I can see that too. Because you've got the innocence that doesn't really want to be innocence, so it like tries to, toughen up a little bit. And then you've got
pragmatic one,
and then the lesbian, slightly angry lesbian.
Aren't you a dyke?
Right?
Well, and that would be Grace too, because she dated a lot of guys, but she really didn't like guys that much.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I love that whole look at the rope on that, dude. Get gayer, bro.
That was a command.
That was so good. That was so good.
Yeah, that I love those three together. I mean, Meeg and Zieg together. So it's kind of like I'm Larry. This is my brother Daryl. My other brother Daryl. So, in a way, I love them. I guess you could say the same thing for the Polichettis. I'm Mercedes, and this is my brother.
Yep.
Mercedes is clearly the brains of that operation. Oh, yeah. Let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, how do they communicate? Okay, and one more question that I have. One more question that I have about this, and I know I asked you earlier, and you didn't know. If anybody knows, let us know who is the woman that is Nat's mother. Who is the actress or the person or whatever that person is? Because I thought maybe it's Tanya Teller's mom. But it's not.
And it's not Kiso's mom, as far as we can tell. And
no.
It's definitely not Kiso's mom.
No.
Yeah, she is younger than that, I think. So yeah, but Kiso also doesn't do anything like not on purpose. So I feel like it's got to be someone important who stepped in for that. There are, several pictures that were highlighted in a couple of episodes. So
yeah, no, and I love that she's got the wall behind her of pictures of her and her mom with the various hockey players. And then the one in the center right behind her is the one with Shoresy and her ma and her. Yeah. And I love it because it like Nat is a very practical person. She's very driven. She's very purposeful. But that one photo shows that not only was Nat's ma close with Shoresy, but Nat is close with Shoresy personally. And she does have a playful side. And she does indulge that with him specifically. And it does bind them together as a family, because like she would not do that with anyone else.
Yeah, I think I mean she wants to make her mom proud, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
And if there's anybody that she trusts to make that happen, it's Shoresy. Even though he's a big dumb ugly slut.
No, she knows him for what he is.
Oh, yeah.
And she still chooses to put her faith in him, even if she like has to like manage him a little bit. She still chooses to let him captain the team, and she trusts his drive to win. She trusts his hatred of losing.
Yeah, definitely. Because they're both on the same page when it comes to how hockey should be.
And she's willing to push him as well. Like when she tells him, so what are you going to do to up your game? And then he looks over at that weight bench like it offered to blow him.
Right?
And she's like, okay, yeah, I can see. I got you now. I got you. You're into it.
Yeah. And
You're
if you go
willing to do it.
If you go back to that final episode with him and Letterkenny, Wayne saying, I like his work ethic. That kind of really leads into that.
So apparently, though, he wasn't working out at all off skates. Is that basically what we're to assume? And that, because I know he's always cracking jokes about the bikes. And then like earlier in the episode, he got a little interested that, well, these studs are using the bikes. Maybe they're not so bad. Do they actually help you in any way? And so like by the end of the episode, like this is something I can do again.
We see him in the gym. We see him working out. We see him putting in work in Letterkenny.
Yeah.
I think when he got to Sudbury, he kind of assessed the team's level of commitment.
I could see that.
And
yeah, that makes sense.
Especially
understood that they were not as upset about losing as he was. And like things may have, because there is definitely a gap between the end of series 10 of Letterkenny and the beginning of Shoresy.
Yeah.
And it's got to be at least a year, if not two. And you know, this was written pre-pandemic, and 2020 just kind of threw a wrench in every fucking thing. So I think the timing, like he understood that he wouldn't be winning any championships or anything, but he was at least going to be on a functional team. And then as the team got more and more dysfunctional, like his hatred of losing came out, and he got more and more disgruntled with the state of the team. And like
keep Shoresy gruntled. Don't keep him disgruntled. Let him be disgruntled.
Well, and we see that like when Riley and Jonesy are disgruntled with their team, they just end up donking all day, right? So I can see Shoresy doing that at least for a little bit, and then just absolutely snapping. Like he's reached a threshold, and he's like fucking done with these assholes because they're not willing to put in the work.
And Nat is there as well, and that's why she backs Shoresy's play versus keeping Michaels as a coach. That's why she goes back to Michaels and to bring him in as an extendee,
as a player. Yeah.
So
like, look, you had your strengths, right? Like you are a good attendee. You're just a shit coach.
Yeah, exactly.
And that takes place in the episode Know Your Role for a fucking reason.
Yep. Dean, do you want to rewind on that? Do you need the comment before?
Fidoval said, I think Nat is going to open up a lot more next season. And that you see her mention a soft spot for him to Laura that the picture just begs for exposition.
Right.
So yeah.
Oh, and speaking of Laura, like I loved that scene when she was in there interviewing them. I loved Nat and the way she talked about how she loved all of that. But I also love that, you know, she was pretty skeptical of anything, but also was with the crowd as they got, like when Shoresy got into a fight, her smile came out like, there he is.
Right.
Okay,
So like
I see him
the
now.
top of the third period, the first fucking thing Shoresy does is run the goalie.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you've listened to Kizo talk about anything to do with hockey, you know that that's just like a no-fly zone for him, for any hockey player. Like, you don't fuck with a man's goalie. The first thing Shoresy does is run the goalie, and the immediate cut is you go to Laura and she's smiling at him. And it's so sweet. And she's like, oh yeah, I see what you're doing. Yeah, you cute. You cute.
It's like what I said in the last, or was it the last episode, where I was like, I feel like they're gonna be the long, you know, the moonlighting relationship. They're gonna end up together in the end, but like it's just gonna be this like, I can't
slow
like
burn,
you.
25
I like you. I can't like you. Yeah.
Will they or won't they?
So Nathan brings up about how long Shoresy's been in. They
Right.
played at least 20 games.
In
So
the
that's
last-
a few months
yeah.
at least. So
How many did we figure out how many were in a regular season? Like I know we asked somebody at some point.
I don't.
Chris, when he was here, I think we asked him.
And it was something in the 60s, 70s, something like that, I think.
Yeah, it's like 68 games in a regular season.
Yeah.
And then playoffs. So, okay, this is a point I want to make. I want
Holy
to know
82.
82?
Is that including the playoffs?
Does that include playoffs?
Playoffs?
So okay, this is the quote anyway. The 1,312 game regular season schedule, 82 games per team, will conclude Friday, April 29th, when 30 of the league's 32 teams take to the ice. Sorry, this was at the end of last season.
And that's for the NHL.
Yeah, no, that's from the NHL. 1,312 games, 1,312. Sorry, all cuts are down. 82 games per team, not counting playoffs.
Okay, I want to say the NHL
is probably a little bit different.
Yeah, the no show specifically because they've only got 4 teams.
Right.
And like I
don't know what it would be in that world.
I've seen a lot of people going, well, why would they be in the playoffs anyway? And I'm like, look, they don't have to win a single game to be in the playoffs. How do you look me in the eye and tell me how you think the playoffs work in a 4-team league?
Yeah.
You know,
because you can't just have 3.
It'll be first versus fourth.
That's
like,
why
they do that. Yeah,
it has to be 4 teams. It literally can't be more, because if it was more, then they'd be automatically DQ'd due to the record. If it was fewer, then there wouldn't be any actual playoffs. It has to be a 4-team league, and they are guaranteed a spot in the playoffs because it's a 4-team league. They don't have to win a single game to make it to the playoffs. They could, but they don't have to.
I always bring up roller derby when watching this because it's the only sport that I ever played and understand really well. And it reminds me of before it started getting super serious and there were leagues all over the world, but it like interleague play would be like 4 teams on each league, right?
Yeah.
And you would have playoffs. You would have the end of the season would be first versus fourth and second versus third. And then whoever won both matches would end up playing the championship bout. And yeah, it's funny to me how many of these things I keep in my mind. I'm like, oh, this is like roller derby, and I'm like, oh, that's for a reason. A lot of roller derby came from hockey.
Yeah.
And a lot of hockey players play roller derby.
Real quick, going back to Shoresy and Laura, there's a couple of comments. Phytophile says that the love for him really kind of shows when she asked him to take out the tubes.
It's so giggly,
it's like so adorable.
And she likes the warrior more than the man, I think, at least for now.
Agreed.
So yeah, and that kind of goes back to the Michaels thing about how he doesn't really stand up for himself. He's just a doormat. Sanger is kind of in that middle zone right now. He's
learning how to be a little more boss.
Right. He's getting that confidence. And I think Michaels is hopefully headed that way for himself as well.
I hope so.
The other thing I question is, the part where he ran out and says he wants to win the team over. Why does he want to win the team over? That's kind of one of the
part of it.
Well, that, or does he have an ulterior
game?
Yeah. So, I mean, he's not dumb.
No.
So yeah,
honestly,
that's one thing
I think that's why he went into coaching, was because he wanted to still be involved in the game, and he thought that's the only way he could be involved in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I did that with roller derby.
So yeah,
until
he's just a way better player than he is a coach. And look, coaching is a whole fucking skill set in itself. Yeah. I've seen way too many baseball players fail upward into coaching.
Yep.
And they don't have a fucking clue what they're doing. But the thing
Nathan
is,
has
right,
a thought that he thinks Michaels is running for captain.
Oh no, fuck that. Absolutely not. He might think he's gunning for it, but he's never gonna get it, and he'd be a shit C. So there you go. Like I said, he's too much of a pussy to actually assert himself.
Yeah, I think he knows his skill set, and I think the team now knows his skill set.
And as long as he respects that skill set, he'll be golden.
Yeah.
When he tries to go past it, then he's gonna fall flat on his face and eat shit on the ice, like he should.
Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts, theories, trivia, etc. that we have?
Good. How are you? Awesome.
Yeah. Well, so like,
if we're gonna go
intro clip.
Yeah.
Who's the fucking bear?
Who's the bear?
Who's the bear?
I like it.
Who's the fucking bear? Because they make such a big deal in the last episode and in this episode about poking the bear. Who's the fucking bear? I put it to you. Shoresy's the bear.
I think the Bulldogs are the bear. I think that they got a taste of winning and don't want to lose again. And all of them are frustrated that they have to play this team that they know in their minds are very strong. And all of them think that the way to do it is, at the beginning anyway, they think that, this is the right idea.
Get a little closer to your mic, please.
No. I keep knocking it out of the way, so I have to
put it on your boob.
I did. Anyway, lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
You think that the Bulldogs are the bear?
Right. I think that especially in that third period, they were like, okay, here now we're fully awake, and that was like the whole team was just having fun out there again, and the crowd was enjoying it. And when the team is having fun, that's when they are on it. And usually that team is having fun when they're being dominating, and they were able to find how to have fun even when they're not. Right.
I mean, I agree in large.
They think they're the bear. The Sioux has what was that?
Yeah, they lost that game before they took the ice with everyone telling them how good the Sioux are.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's very psychological.
It's like the Patriots in the last 15 years.
So, like, I have another roller derby thing that I mentioned to Dean when we were watching this. If you were a fan of roller derby during the early 2000s, like say like the last 20 years, let's say that, you know that there have been certain teams that have been like world dominating teams. I can go back. It's Olympia, then Gotham in New York, and Rose City as of before the apocalypse. Those three teams, the reason why they were so dominating was because a lot of the players on it were professional hockey players or former Olympians and that sort of thing. And those were the teams that were able to draw them to them. So you had these teams that went over and over and over again. And like Oli was dominating before anyone took roller derby seriously. Then when they started taking it seriously, New York started winning constantly. And I think it was like a 3-year streak where they didn't lose a single game. And then Rose City, which is Portland, where we are now, Rose City 1 year came within a few points of beating them, and nobody had beat them in so long that literally they gained hundreds of, probably thousands of fans overnight. And the next year came back and beat them by 1 point, and then continued to beat them the next 2 years. And those two teams have just been going back and forth since then. Again, I don't know what's happened in the apocalypse. I think Denver was starting to be the contender before 2020, but I wasn't paying as much attention at that point. But like what I see in this is I watched Rose City go from not a small team. It was never a small team, but to go from a team where I, hung out with people, just randomly when I'd come down to Portland, to having some serious like athletic level, Olympic level athletic competition happening. And it's wild to see that. And I feel like that could be the kind of, trajectory that I see with Shoresy's team with the Bulldogs. Sure, they weren't winning, but now they've gotten a taste of winning, and they've given the perpetual winners a taste of what it's like to maybe be afraid of not winning.
And they had to experience that game with a full roster, so they could find the weakness in the Sioux. So now they know they're going next time, and then we'll take them to task. So yeah, that's
right.
Definitely.
That was what Shoresy was saying about how, they don't want anything to do with the gyms, which is why the gyms were able to score, is because the Sioux were afraid of the gyms now, because the gyms have this reputation.
Gyms operate largely on their reputation
Mhm.
as
Right.
like A1 fucking scrappers. Don't fuck with us, we'll put you in the ground. And I would argue, honestly, a lot of the team's transformation and attitude towards, it's not that they don't love to win, it's that they don't hate to lose, derives from Shoresy and his attitude. And like, he couldn't, without the help of Dolo, Hitch, Goody, and JJ, he could not inculcate his players with that attitude. But seeing a team, like a core team that operates on that principle, provides a solid example of how that drive can propel you to success.
Yeah.
So seeing, the core five have, that drive really turns the entire team around. So it all trickles down from Shoresy. And now Fish isn't on the program, and one assumes also Sommerfeld and Whitey and Phillips. And with those guys turns the whole team.
Yeah, once when watching Michael's fight to be accepted, and Fish doing kind of the opposite, just doing his job, keeping his head down, and not having much of a personality for viewers, but being like the total opposite of Michael's, in like that unassuming, I'm just going to do my job, and you don't need to give me praise for it. I guess I'm doing okay. And
I'm doing exactly what you told me to do.
Exactly. I think that was Shoresy's like, well, I like you because you're willing to like fuck yourself up for the team.
Yeah, you got your body in front of it. We see
there.
Yeah, no, he says we see you sacrificing your body for the team.
Yeah.
So that's what gets you this spot on the starting lineup. And it really did start with Sanger insisting that Fish got the game stick.
Yeah, and that was definitely the part where Sanger really he made the decision. This is and the other sluts aside from Shoresy agreed with him, so that kind of cemented him as the true, as the coach, that he's who's in charge, and in the end.
Well, and I think even when Shoresy's not actually wearing the C on his sweater, he's still wearing the C on his shoulder.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And like, so Sanger knew he had to convince the captain. And so he set out to do that. And then the rest of the boys fell in line.
Yep. Everything was almost right with the world.
Yeah. So once Sanger convinces Shoresy, and Shoresy kind of like finally goes, oh, okay, I'll guess. He accepts that, yeah, Fish really is playing for the team, not for himself.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, even when he's telling him, he's not really looking at him in the eyes.
Yeah. No, once Shoresy is convinced that the boys are playing for the team, that is when he like accepts them into the fold.
Yeah.
Because that is what he wants. He wants people to be playing for the family. He wants people to be willing to make the sacrifice for the family. Because that's what he is willing to do, and he wants that reciprocated.
Agreed. Yeah, Shoresy is. I mean, he's as we've seen from his very end of Letterkenny, when he's basically putting in the work to he just wrecks himself. He's puking.
Yeah,
and
he goes so hard he has to fucking bend over a bucket every 3 laps. Like fucking A.
Yeah, so we know where his level is, and you know that, and which is explained in episode 4 with how he was raised and how he kind of forces himself to be better all the time, because he hates losing so fucking much. So yeah, that's kind of, I mean, you see that where the seed started and where it's gotten to.
Yeah, and
and now it's flourished.
I think it's absolutely fascinating, like the psychology of the individual, right?
Mm.
Like, so this is like this is a way more fanfic thought, but
what, you have fanfic thoughts?
Shut up, whore. No,
I'm a slut.
Okay, shut up, slut. No, like I want like a whole series on like Shoresy, and he's got like disordered eating from being like food insecure before he was placed with his dad, and then he finally like feels like he's got a home with his dad and Morris and Carrie and Free, and he's like sorts his shit out then and gets a lot of healthier habits. But then like when he's feeling pressured, when he like is so fearful and so hateful of losing with Sudbury, then he like kind of relapses into bad habits and has to sort himself out again. And I think it'd be very interesting to bring Goody in at several points in that arc to like compare and contrast his information from the past, or his behavior from the past and in the present.
Are you saying that you'd like to see have them kind of go the Big Bang Theory route and do a young Shoresy?
No, Christ. First of all, fuck Big Bang Theory. That was the worst show to ever happen to autistics ever.
I'm not saying that it was good at all. I'm just saying that then they end up coming with young Sheldon.
Well, no, I think like some flashbacks might be helpful, but like, so like Shoresy in his youth has some like unhealthy habits, but he's working on it. But like Goody, because they've been friends for so long, Goody has seen some of those unhealthy habits and has seen some of his recovery. And then in the present, Goody can recognize when Shoresy's relapsing and is like, hey man, get your shit together. Like, I care about you as a person. So like maybe stop making yourself puke all the fucking time.
Yeah. And I don't know how old he would be now, but I could see a young Shoresy being played by the kid that played Samuel.
So, like, I fucking love Samuel, right? Because, like, kids, whether they know it or not, they have this habit of, like, dishing your own shit out to you. So, like, whatever shit Samuel gives Wayne, that is absolutely the shit that Wayne gave to the adults in his life, and he 100% deserves it.
Oh, yeah.
That said, no, I think it would be interesting to have like somebody who knew him in his youth, like Goody, and somebody who knows him now, right? Like have that thread of continuity, and like have a character like Goody be able to say, you know what, you're hurting yourself. I can see you hurting yourself. Please stop hurting yourself.
Yeah, everyone agrees to fuck Big Bang Theory. Yeah.
Good job.
Yep.
Right?
I agree.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, a girl in the comic book shop.
Right?
Like, my house is a comic book shop.
I want to fight whoever penned that line, because like do you think I'm not in my local comic shop every fucking week? Do you really?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, how many boxes? I got rid of a shit ton of books when we moved, but I brought all the comics.
Right?
All of the graphic novels, all of the trades that were salvageable.
Hey!
Woo! Same! Right? The tropes with us. Oh, we're not saying Sheldon is autistic. Here's all the things we think make someone silly when they're autistic. Yeah, that's...
Yeah, fuck that show.
Same, yes.
Yeah. We're all nerds here.
Yes. If you don't listen to our show,
we're all on a bit neurodivergent in some way.
Yeah.
I literally don't think there is a person in this meeting who's not ending.
Oh, in this meeting? No, yeah, okay. I was gonna say, let's not go with the little. Everyone's a little autistic because that'll piss me off. But I do fully believe that if you can find yourself in the DSM, you are probably neurodivergent.
Yep.
Have you not seen like the screed I went on Reddit about everyone's a little autistic?
No, I didn't see it, but thank you, because I struggle with that. I do also find well, that's a little different. I find it really funny though that most of the people that say that in my presence, I have probably thought at one point or time that they were. And that is kind of like a gateway drug. Like someone goes, "Oh, I think everybody's a little autistic," because they're actually starting to see that in themselves.
Well, they're starting to speak from their own experience, and it's
everybody
like,
must be that way. No, not really. Actually, no. Yeah.
But doesn't everybody struggle with XYZ? Obviously, neurodivergent symptom. No, actually, no.
Oh, everybody's messy. That's a totally different. That is not a thing that like, you don't know messy until you've seen executive dysfunction and depression at the same time.
All right, before we get into an entirely
let's
new
do the thing
conversation, let's get into
until we get into a 3-hour podcast.
The new game. Yeah. And we were expecting that.
Yes, always with awesome.
Always with awesome. We will definitely.
I literally didn't write down that much stuff just because I was like, "Oh, it'll be awesome." Like we're gonna talk for an hour, and I won't even have to look at my notes.
Okay, you want to know something funny? Is I actually did not write anything down this time either because I knew I was just gonna be able to like dive right in and get into all the shit. Because
legit. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do the
thing. If any of you have been here before, then you're gonna remember this game. But for you new folks, this is kind of like how we did on How Are You Now, but it's a little bit different. Our version of Fuck Fight Further here is Underwater Squeezer, Drop the Mitts, or Healthy Scratch. It's not whether or not you would give it to the person, but whether or not they deserve it. So underwater squeezer, do they deserve an underwater squeezer? Should the mitts be dropped and they need to be scrapped with, or are they a healthy scratch for this episode? They didn't really add much, but yeah, they're there. So, and as we like to do, we're going to start with Shoresy, and I know where we're all going on this. I'm pretty sure. Awesome.
Squeezer. Hundy P.
Baby girl.
Like Squeezer. He tried so hard. He tried so
What's
hard.
What's hard?
So hard. So hard.
Love you, awesome.
All right, let's go to Sanger.
Squeezer.
Squeeze.
It's my headcanon that he didn't sleep with Mercedes, that he was too uncomfortable.
Yeah. So Final File also says that Healthy Scratch could also be a stick tap. So
true story. True story.
All right. Nat.
Nat deserves a finger bang or a squeezer or whatever the fuck she wants. I will suck her clit for 10 hours. I don't care.
Hello.
Yes.
Meg.
Agreed. All of it.
Yeah.
Meg. Yes.
Z.
Yes.
Z.
The face.
You know what? The face is hilarious. I'm just gonna say,
sisters.
She has been working so hard to get this team to get to where they are. I'm just gonna say this right now. Everyone tonight is getting a fucking squeezer.
No, that can't be.
But hold on.
We'll get to it.
Zieg, I think, for when unveiling the sweater the way she did, and then like having to hide her face because she was giggling so hard because she thought it was so cute. Like, come on, she didn't do anything terrible in this one. Let her get a little action.
Yeah. Zieg definitely gets the squeezer.
Fidophile says we finally get to see Sanger's infamous underwater squeezer
Right.
and the infamous
And the
aqua dump.
I could have done without the turd floating in the water. I could have done without
Nope,
that.
it's part of the combo. So where are we on Z? Are we they get squeezer?
All of them up until Zieg get squeezer.
Up until Zieg.
On your list, yes. I don't know. Do you have something after Zieg that is not before that I don't have in mind?
No. So
we've said squeezer for everybody so far.
So here's for me where the mitts get dropped. JJ.
Same. Drop the mitts.
Yeah, all right. He abandoned his team.
Yep.
Fuck him. He gets the mitts.
Right. And it's like I said in the last episode, if you're gonna be a slut, don't bring your girlfriend and be open about it. Like just say not in a monogamous relationship with you. When I'm in this other city, I'm probably going to be with other people. Like, don't make her freak out all night long, worrying about what's going on and knowing what's going on and having to confront you before you're right. And and then like in front of all these other people too, like she's embarrassed because she knows this is happening and they know this is happening. And it's like, fuck you, JJ.
So brazen. It is so brazen because, like you say, Lisa parks her fucking Jeep outside the front.
Fuck you. You're not a fan. Oh no, fuck you. Sorry.
Yeah. So Nathan says I would kick Jay Frankie JJ in the nars. He had smoking hot redhead girlfriend, and he ruins it like a fool.
Right.
And then
so pretty.
Fidophile says JJ's been off his game outside the game, so, which also affects his game. So
like his game got better when she showed up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It had an effect on his actual game. So let's go to Dolo.
I know what the squeezer. I was like, I know what Austin wants him to go on.
All right,
squeezer.
So squeezer for Dolo. I'm guessing the same for Goody.
Squeezer.
Fuck yeah, I would give Goody a squeezer.
Hitch buys. He needs a squeezer.
Squeezer.
Oh yeah.
All right, this one I think also gets the bits dropped. Laurence Leboeuf.
Laurence is
not Laurence. No, I got confused. Sorry.
She gets a big hug.
She gets.
Laurence gets a big hug.
She deserves. She deserves all of the squeezers.
She deserves all of that. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I was jumping ahead to the song. So yeah.
Don't do that.
Michaels
gets a squeezer.
Squeezer.
Yep. Oops.
He got hit over and over and over and over and over again. He tried so hard.
Fish also gets a squeezer.
Fish gets a squeeze.
Laura Moore.
Ooh. Laura gets a squeeze.
Yeah.
So she tells him to take his tooth out, and
yes,
that was the best flirt
who
ever.
Was that brought that up a little bit ago?
Yeah, I think that was Fidophile.
Yeah.
But yet, no, I definitely think that she has a weakness for sluts. But she tries to rein that in hard. But Shoresy really is wearing her down.
I made a comment of this before. I mean, she's got a kid. I'm wondering if that's from a slut.
Right.
So
read the comment.
Yeah. So Fidophile says, I just loved how it finally clicked and Laura had adapted to Shoresy's and his quirks reminded by when he took the tooth out too.
Right. The way that she knew
beats him to the
right, exactly. Time. Every time she knows
or they synced up actually. Yeah. They, at the same yeah.
And then she just smiles
She goes, I know your game.
Well, honestly, I think it's not even just wearing her down. I think he really is impressing her with the sincerity of his interest.
Yeah.
And I think that's what she really doesn't like.
Charming.
Yes.
I think that's what she really doesn't like about sluts is that they're fickle. And Shoresy is the opposite of fickle. Like I said,
he needs to be grounded.
All his behavior towards people is aspirational. It is all with the goal of making them his tribe.
Yeah.
And he's not picked up any women this season. He's
no,
only flirted with Laura.
Hasn't.
He's only flirted with Laura.
And it's not like Shoresy could not get mad pussy, because he obviously could. He could get whatever he wanted. He chooses Laura. And his wants are specific.
Yeah.
And
I think she's starting to see that, in that last episode where they were giggling, flirting, and she's like, "Oh man, fuck." I've been
Nathan and Fidophile both say he'd be so He'd be so fucking.
I have been in that position where all of a sudden you realize that someone that you had said no to is actually kind of attractive, and you're like, God damn it.
Well, and like the thing is, I can understand her being cautious because she does have a kid, and who the fuck wants to waste their time?
Yeah. Like she is a grown woman, and she's got this kid and this life and
this job.
She's
So
I don't know,
why would she get involved with someone who isn't gonna be cool with her job or with her having a kid?
Right.
Totally. Yeah.
And who's just gonna fuck off whenever because something prettier comes along.
Yeah.
Where in
She
Shoresy's
doesn't
world,
want a JJ. She wants a fucking grown ass partner.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, so let's move on to Anik, Tiara's favorite character.
Oh yeah.
Honestly,
the other reason why I was a little weary of Shoresy when I heard that it was going to be Shoresy and Anik that were both in this, I was like, oh Jesus, I hate both of them. But like, I have grown to love Shoresy. I still fucking hate Anik.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? Like when we first see Anik in Questionable Call, she tells Jay Onray to like cool his fucking jets when he starts getting a little weird. And then in this one, he's like, there's an impossible amount of good-looking girls in Sudbury. And she's like, yeah, go hit the showers. I genuinely think that he tried to hit on her. And then when she shot him down, he tried nigging her. And she's like, no, you're a child. Get the fuck away from me.
So then you're dropping the mitts for Anik, or you're squeezing, or what are you? Healthy scratch?
I'll give Anik a healthy scratch.
Healthy scratch.
All right, I can go with that. But Tessa, she gets a squeezer from me.
Tessa gets a squeezer.
Healthy scratch. Y'all go right ahead, but
Jay on right. I give him
Ray gets the mitts.
You get okay.
He gets the mitts. Okay.
All right.
I find him super annoying, and as like a fictional character, that's the cardinal sin.
Okay. I mean, for me, the whole newscast was just like a meh, so healthy scratch for all of them.
Okay. So RA, you give a healthy scratch. Me too.
Yeah, RA gets a scratch. That's all right.
All right. Now the squeezer giver, Mercedes.
She's a slut and I can respect that.
Yeah, I can absolutely respect it. She's open about what she wants and what she's gonna do. And she's
very fucking upfront, man. She made no secret of anything. Bitch gets a squeezer.
Okay.
I definitely have respect for somebody who is unapologetically themselves.
Unabashedly.
Yeah.
Squeezers all around. Here. Okay, so now we can drop the mitts. Lison Nadeau.
Fuck her.
Lisa, she
parked out front on purpose. She knew he had a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
She even said, like, waved at her hello when she went in the other day.
Yeah.
Fuck her. Nope. That was calculated. That was, I'm going to go over there.
It's not like, she was not ignorant.
I'm going to go sleep with him. I don't care that he's got a girlfriend. And then, oops, I got caught. Hi, I love you. I'm a fan. Okay.
Well, what I want to know, right, is like, did JJ tell Lison that Laurence was his girlfriend? Or did she assume, like JJ did, that they were just friends with benefits?
How do you think that JJ assumed that they were friends with benefits?
Because JJ does not act like he was in a committed relationship with Laurence. He acts like a hockey fuckboy who's going to another city to get fucking tail.
Yes, he does. However, the thing that we were saying before was you don't invite somebody to come in and be in the same city with you if you're not in a relationship with them.
I mean,
like, it's obviously that he was waiting for her to get there, that he felt like shit until she got there, played like shit until she got there.
And so now here's the interesting
thing, right? Like, I think he thought they had a friends with benefits situation.
I don't believe that.
She thought that they were in a relationship.
I mean, she came all the way from Quebec.
I do not believe that.
To stay with him.
The movie star came
like
she came to spend the weekend and then go back, and then she didn't go back, and JJ's like, the fuck.
So hang on.
No.
So hang on. All right. Agree to
You are
disagree.
watching a different
Anyway,
show.
now Phytophile says Lasan knows she's fucking up the team by distracting JJ too, which
Mhm.
I don't
Does
disagree.
she?
But well, here's the thing. I think it's quite possible that somebody knows that he and like Nathan says he's a manho, as was brought up
Yeah.
in the first episode.
He a
But
hoe.
hang on.
Forget man-ho. He just a hoe.
But by that, is it possible that someone could have brought her in to do just that, to fuck with the team?
Oh, you think it's sabotage?
Could be. So
I still think it's just a selfish woman who saw something she wanted and decided to go get it because he had a reputation.
Yeah. No,
He's
see,
funny.
Phytophile's got it right. The sluts are covering for him.
that's
Dolo
true.
straight up
Yeah.
says, no, he's at the Redison. And then he's like, I don't know.
Yeah, when she asked where is he? I don't know.
No,
So-
he's definitely exercising a bit of bros before.
Yeah.
Incorrectly, I think. No, but I genuinely think that. So okay, here's another thing. I think JJ is definitely dealing with some brain damage. I think he's dealing with a lot of post-concussion syndrome. I don't think he's like 100% compos mentis.
Okay.
Because, like, okay, in Letterkenny, he's clever, he's witty, he's on it with the chirps, he gives back and forth, he speaks fucking English.
Mhm.
And in Shoresy, he's forgetful, he has to repeat things, and he has to have things repeated to him. He completely stopped speaking English. He's distracted or just absolutely not present a lot of the time.
Yeah, staring out into space a lot.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Like, I think he's dealing with some traumatic brain, and I think that's why he wasn't on a team when Shoresy went to recruit him, because he was supposed to be resting. He was supposed to be recovering. And then Shoresy brings him in, and he, just wants the dubs, so he's not really paying attention. And I wonder if this is going to come back up in series 2, where JJ finally admits to the team that, yeah, I'm dealing with like TBI. And then Shoresy is like, fuck, I should have noticed something. I know this guy. I know what he's like. Why didn't I notice?
Yeah. I don't know. Well, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But yeah, Nathan says JJ has relationship ADD. Put something pretty in front of him and he can't help himself.
I mean, you just described a slut.
He definitely. I think he craves the attention.
Yeah, and he craves the external validation. I think that's I think that is more pronounced by the fact that he wasn't on a team when he's like been pretty consistently, valued by the hockey community up to that point, because he used to play in the show. And now he's like in these fucking like local leagues.
So yeah, but where does that lead? So now here's the thing. Laurence definitely thinks that they're in a relationship because she's got his Siamese cat. So you leave that with somebody you trust. I'm assuming that they've been living together based off of that. That sounds.
I mean, I think that's a bit of a stretch.
Not necessarily. I mean, you would live with your cat.
I would leave my dog with a friend that I trusted to take care of him, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm sleeping with them.
Well,
I feel like the show tried to make a big deal that they were together and that he was cheating on her. I don't think there was any ambiguity between them. He might have been lying to her. He might have been lying to her or playing her or whatever, but I still stand by the show presented them as a relationship that he was cheating on.
Which is why the bros were covering for him.
Because she's a relationship. If he was just sleeping with her, he wouldn't care if she knew.
And by the way, big props for getting the girl at from the Colson that was dancing.
Right?
You fucking goodie.
Goldie.
Goldie.
So anyway, let's finish up Lasan. So where are you on Lasan?
Lasan's a healthy scratch.
All right. And then finally, Benny and Remy Nudo.
Okay, Remy. I love that Remy got drunker and just started saying his name.
he just said his own name.
Remy Nudo.
Remy Nudo.
I want Benny brother.
That was Benoit
balls. What?
Benny brother.
Yeah, they were great, and that pulling the rug off was great.
Right, I love it. Like he cheered so hard, his headset fell off, and he took the toupee with it.
Yeah. No, when Tierney took it off, he then grabbed it and threw it.
He started
So it wasn't
fucking like a rally towel, right? Started whipping it around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Tierney and Torrens, I love them. You gotta love them.
Genius,
yes,
but not squeeze worthy.
No, yeah,
no.
I mean, maybe, but
healthy scratch.
So
Remy Nudo.
Nathan says it was a very bad hairpiece.
It was
so
very bad on purpose. And
yeah.
I mean, it was so bad. It was good.
I love how they're made to look like like they're from the 70s.
Yeah, those motherfuckers straight up stepped out in 1973. Don't argue.
Yeah. They jumped from the booth in Slapshot over
just about.
No,
maybe that was now I need to look at that again. Did they actually? I wonder.
Between that and like the Born to Be Alive moment, like
to be alive.
Like the disco and the 70s vibes and drinking scotch in the recording booth. I love it so much.
Brilliant. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I kind of wish they'd had an organ player too, just like in
right.
Nathan says I had a priest at my Catholic school who had a blonde wig, but he had black hair, so this one he had a blonde wig. That's
a priest with vanity. That's amazing.
Hilarious.
Yeah, aren't they?
But who's going to question the priest, right?
Right. What was that, Dean?
I said, who's going to question the priest about it?
Right. Yeah.
Literally anybody with a brain.
Faza, why is your hair brown?
Faza, do you care how you look?
Boy. So did I miss anybody? I think that's everybody.
Think so. I think you got everybody.
We got them all. Yeah.
We had no Pam this episode, so
unfortunate. I like Pam. I do.
Pam takes no shit.
I love her. I do want to see her end up with Hitch, though. I think that'd be fucking funny. Take your jibs, put your jibs in, have some self-respect. No, take your jibs out. Give me head.
Exactly.
You know, after seeing that actor do an interview when he was still playing and stuff without the heavy accent, I do have to admit,
speaking English very clearly.
I was much more like, ooh.
Oh, it hit you. Same with JJ, seeing him when he was in the juniors.
Well, JJ actually, it was exactly how I imagined it. I don't know how to say that. Like looked like a very sweet young man.
He was probably what 16, 17 at the time.
Exactly. But I mean,
he's a baby.
Yeah, he was a baby. He was very much.
So yeah, watching that spit. It was a
chiclets.
Spit and Chicklets episode that he was on, and him talking just in his regular. I mean, you could tell there was a bit of an episode.
He was on an episode of Tales with Tior too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like Tior's had most of the guys from the show on his podcast.
Very cool.
I'm picturing a drug priest with a blonde wig badly covering his thin black hair.
Hell yeah.
Great guys. I've had a whole ginger beer and like 5 ounces of whiskey, so I got to use the bathroom.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's
we're at the end of the show, so
2 hours.
So let's do just quick final thoughts if you have any.
I want to see series 2. I'm hoping that green light is telling us we're getting series 2.
Seriously,
definitely.
That is the hope.
So yeah, next week or 2 or 3, whenever it happens, keep an eye on this channel, on Twitter, or generally where we'll be, and we'll let you know when we're doing our recap. We're going to be having Al from the produce stand on, as well as it looks like Awesome has agreed to join, as well as a few others. It'll be a big kind of it'll be a bit of the Bluester Club, and we're gonna have some fun and just kind of recap the season all together. And I will also be TR and I will also be on the produce stand with their recap. I don't know how we're doing this exactly, but we're doing it.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, big thanks to Phytophile and Nathan here for joining us. Thanks again to Awesome for coming to hang out with us like she does. This is always fun. We're like the rest of you, we're looking forward to a season 2. But yeah, check back with us and we'll be talking about that even more so in our recap.
Yeah.
So goodbye, everybody. We will see you when we see you. So
soon.
So, yeah. So
Bye.
Take care now. Bye. Thanks so much for putting your bums in our seats today. We really appreciate it. We're so grateful to our longtime Letterkenny fans for being with us this far, and we're also very grateful for any new folks who've chosen to join us. If you have any questions or comments, please send us an email to hosts@howareyounowpod.com or howareyounowpod@gmail.com. You can also reach out to us on Twitter @howareyounowpod. We'd love to hear from you. We want to give a big shout out to our pals over at Light the Lamp for providing our intro and outro music for the show. The intro tune is For the Win, and the outro tune is Miracle. You can find Light the Lamp on Bandcamp, Twitter, and Instagram. Please go check them out. Their links will be in our show notes. And, as we like to say,
shut the fuck up, Sanguinette.
Great moments of boredom, great opportunity.